Okay, right, I've been getting a few requests on how to re-waterproof motorcycle boots. And at the same time, I thought we would have a look at Tripmachine's new Chelsea boots. I showed you their Derby boots just before Christmas, and quite a few people commented that, they don't like lace-up boots for riding a bike. And can I show them the new Chelsea boots from Tripmachine? Well, of course I can. Now, while I'm unpacking these, just a word about lace-up boots. I sort of understand where people are coming from, but there again, I don't. I personally prefer lace-up boots. I prefer the Derby boots to these Chelsea boots. Nothing wrong with the Chelsea boots. It's just one of those personal preference things. But after I'd reviewed the Derby boots, I had a lot of comments from people sort of telling me that lace-up boots are dangerous for riding a motorcycle. And the only reason I can think of for that is, if you're not capable of tying laces properly. All I can go on is my own experience. I've been riding with lace-up boots for 15 to 20 years of my 40-odd year riding career, and I've never had an issue, not once. As long as you make sure that they're tied securely and that you don't have copious amounts of lace dangling down, there shouldn't be an issue. I've certainly never had one, even on the odd occasion where I've been careless and they have come undone while I'm riding. But for those of you who prefer not to have laces, these Tripmachine Chelsea boots could be right up your street. Now, like the Derby boots, these are made from full grain waxed leather. And my personal preference for any type of footwear, to be honest, is either waxed or oiled leather. Because it patternizes nicely with age, it's the easiest to look after, and from my personal experience, they tend to last longer than coated or polished leather. These are a rugged looking full length Chelsea boot with a Vibram type sole which has a metal shank in it. The metal shank offers some flexibility while walking without the boots feeling too sort of lightweight. As with the Derby boot, I think they give the perfect compromise between rigidity and flexibility. They're fully lined with lycra for comfort, and they fasten on the inside of each boot with a high quality YKK zip. They do also feature ankle protectors, but unfortunately because of the weight they're built into the boot, I can't really sort of video that and show you. As with the Derby boot, when I first tried these on, they felt sort of on the tight side of being true to size, if that makes any sense. I'm a size 10, these boots are a size 10, and when I first put them on, they did feel very snug. But these boots are made with the same supple waxed leather as the Derby boots, so like the Derby boots, I would expect them to relax and become more comfortable with a little wear. Now, the ankle panel on either side of each boot looked to be some sort of oil or wax treated suede, I'm not 100% sure. These are the tobacco brown version, but they are also available in vintage tan. These are also made from a waxed leather, but they do have a more polished appearance to them. They're not as rugged looking as the tobacco brown version. Now, just quickly about the YKK zips before we move on. YKK is a widely used and very well respected brand, prized for the reliability and long life, but they can be a little bit stiff when they're first used. They're an all-metal zipping system, and it just requires a little bit of wear before they run smoothly. Actually, having said that, they weren't bad on these boots at all. Now, Tripmachine don't sell these boots as being fully waterproof, but from my experience, a lot of boots sold as fully waterproof are often not very waterproof either. There are, generally speaking, 3 ways that footwear manufacturers will waterproof a shoe or boot. One is to use some sort of coating on the exterior shell of the boot, usually a PVU-based coating, which stops water reaching the leather. Now, this is probably the cheapest form of doing it, and it only lasts so long. It's not very successful, because the slightest scuff and that coating is gone and water will instantly start to get in. The second one, which is actually quite common with higher end boots, is an internal waterproof membrane. So the water theoretically is able to get through the leather and the stitching, but it's then stopped by an internal membrane. Again, I found that these breach quite easily, especially if you do a lot of walking, and they don't last very long. But the more traditional way, and in my view the most successful way, is to either oil or wax the leather. Now, to do this, it needs to be dressed with a wax base or oil based treatment that gets into the leather and doesn't just sit on the top. So eventually, with regular retreatment, the entire thickness of the leather itself is waterproof. This also helps around the stitched areas, which are obviously the weak part of this whole construction. You have to punch holes through the leather to get the stitching through, and generally speaking, that is where water ingress will occur. And I've always found that regular retreatment or topping up of that dressing is the best way to waterproof or re-waterproof a boot. Now, oiled leather can be treated with a good quality wax dubbing or wax protector, but waxed leather tends to repel the oil and stops it from sinking in. So for that reason, most reproofers will be waxed based because they can safely be used on either waxed or oiled leather. But don't forget, once you've waxed oiled leather, you can't go back and oil it, or at least it won't be very successful. With a natural finished leather such as these Tripmachine boots, these products will always darken the leather slightly, remember that. But having said that, as the carriers or solvents in that treatment dissipate, it will lighten up again. So, you know, as you can see here, they're darkening quite a lot, but they did lighten up a fair bit after it had dried. Now, what that carrier or solvent does is it basically acts as the vehicle that takes the wax deep into the matrix of the leather, and then when it evaporates, it leaves that wax behind. And subsequent coats will build up that level of wax protection in the leather, making the boot more and more waterproof. Now, I've had cheaper boots in the past that have not been waterproof, and I've actually been able to make them waterproof with this method. But remember, you need to keep retreating periodically to keep that leather waterproof. There are 3 products that I've found to be successful over the years. There's the good old-fashioned Nick Wax, the Granger's boot protector and waterproofer, and this Timberland Waximum shoe protector. Now, this Timberland stuff, the latest tin that I bought, it was like they've changed the formulation slightly, and I wasn't happy with it. This is actually an old tin that I reused. To be successful, the mixture needs to have the consistency of Vaseline so that it will soak into the leather and take the wax in with it. If it's too stiff, the wax will just sit on top and it won't do the job properly. And this is what I found with the latest tin of Waximum shoe protector that I bought. It might just have been a faulty batch, I don't know. But I will leave links in the video description for the 3 products that I've used in the past and found to be good quality. Now, when it comes to waxed or oiled leather boots, the first thing I always do is treat them before they get much wear. As you know, when you start wearing new footwear, new creases form because of the way you walk. And this eventually leads to cracking of the leather. Now, these treatments, as well as containing wax, contain an amount of conditioners. It varies from manufacturer to manufacturer. But those conditioners with new footwear can help to control the way the boots crease. Those creases over time will, as you know, become a weak spot in the fabric of the shoe. And the conditioners help to control the sort of micro tears that take place. Not only that, new footwear can sometimes have been in a box waiting to be sold for an extended period. So any existing wax or oil treatment that was put in by the manufacturer may have dried out. So it's always worth treating them first thing as soon as you get the boot. As far as general care of this sort of leather is concerned, generally speaking, I clean off any dirt with a clean damp cloth. I don't use any detergents or anything like that. For any heavily soiled boots with big clods of mud on them, allow it to dry and then just knock it off before wiping the boot over. Then allow the boots to air dry thoroughly before retreating them. Now if your boots don't get particularly dirty, I mean at the end of the day it all depends on the sort of use that you subject them to, always retreat them when the surface of the leather feels dry. Then, using the waterproofer of your choice, take a medium amount of the preparation on a clean, dry cloth and thoroughly work it evenly into the leather. Pay particular attention to any creases in the leather, either natural or creases that have occurred through your walking, and pay particular attention to all the stitching and the seam where the leather upper meets the sole. These are the areas that are most likely to suffer water ingress, so these are the areas that you need to pay particular attention to. Work the protector in evenly and ensure that there are no wet spots, and then leave your boots to dry for at least 8 hours. Then come back and check them. Now, if there are any areas of these boots that do feel dry, retreat the whole boot again. I've never had to do them more than twice, but generally speaking, one coating is enough to last a month if you're wearing them daily in all weathers, or 3 to 6 months if you're just using them, say on weekends. Now, I don't expect this waterproofer to make these boots 100% waterproof, but they will make them rainproof to a pretty good degree. So there should be no need to panic even if you get caught in a fairly heavy rainstorm. It is worth mentioning at this stage that these type of treatments are only suitable for footwear. When it comes to stuff like gloves and jackets, generally speaking, other methods are required, and I'm not going to go into that today. Now, as usual, because I've shown you a Tripmachine product, Tripmachine are offering an exclusive 15% discount for viewers with the code Stuart15, and that can be redeemed against any Tripmachine purchase, not just these boots, although I will leave a link to these boots for those that want to have a look. And that code will be valid for 7 days from today. I'll also leave links to products suitable for this sort of protection to boots in the video description down below. Once again, thank you so much for watching this and my other videos, and in doing so helping to support this channel. I really do appreciate it. I'd also appreciate it if you would leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. I will of course be back on Friday, so until then, if you're riding, ride carefully, and I'll see you soon.